Welcome back, Cules. Big updates coming out of Barcelona today. From the registration race for Szczesny, Gerard Martin, and Rooney Bardghji, to the financial fight with La Liga over VIP seat revenue, and even surprising news about Robert Lewandowski's future, there's a lot to unpack. We'll also touch on Oriol Romeu's exit, Héctor Fort's situation, and what Xabi Alonso had to say about Barcelona's wonderkid Lamine Yamal. Let's break it all down. Barcelona manager Hansi Flick was clear in the build-up to the Mallorca match regarding the registration issues. While he was not entirely happy about the situation, he was confident that the club would handle it. Barça managed to register Joan Garcia and Marcus Rashford for the opening game of the season, but several others are still waiting. Wojciech Szczesny, Gerard Martin, Rooney Bardji and Marc Bernal. As reported earlier today, Barcelona are treating the registration of Szczesny as a priority and want it sorted in time for the game against Levante later this weekend. Hansi Flick and company pushing for Gerard Martin. However, according to Marca, Hansi Flick and the Barcelona coaching staff are also pressing hard for Gerard Martin. The left-back won Flick over last season and has always been part of the Germans' plans for the new campaign. Within the staff, the 23-year-old defender is seen as a reliable alternative for Alejandro Balde when he needs a rest. Despite Joffre Torrent's emergence and minutes at Sun Moix, Martin is considered the more versatile option. His physical presence and strength in the air have led Flick to test him at center-back during pre-season. The departure of Íñigo Martínez has left the squad without a left-footed profile in defense, and the coaches believe Martin can fill that gap. As such, Flick is adamant that a player like Martin is essential to have on the bench, which is why, alongside Szczesny, he is pushing for the versatile star's registration. For now, his presence at the Ciutat de Valencia for the Levante game remains uncertain, although the sporting management is working on making it happen. How can Barcelona get it sorted? As per the report, the solution as far as Barcelona are concerned, is straightforward: accelerate the outgoing operations. To do so, the club must address the case of Oriol Romeu, with negotiations taking place for a contract termination. With Iñaki Peña, the idea is a renewal followed by a loan move, while Héctor Fort's situation is expected to be resolved late in the window with a potential loan to ensure playing time. Many Barcelona fans were left wondering why one of their summer signings, Rooney Bardji, who had impressed heavily in pre-season, was not included in the squad for the first official game of the season against Mallorca. Fellow new arrivals Joan Garcia and Marcus Rashford were registered in time and made their official debuts, but a few others, including the Swedish winger, were not. After all, Barça could have registered Bardji with the reserve team squad and have him play for the first team. As reported a while ago, while Barcelona considered that option, La Liga urged them to register the 19-year-old attacker with a first-team license. Building further on that, Sport now outlines the full reasoning behind why Barcelona opted not to register Bardji with the Barça athletic squad. Barcelona want to avoid Mastantuono case. The possibility of registering Bardji with the reserves had been raised in the days leading up to the opener, even though within the club, it was understood he was unlikely to play a single game with the reserves this season. Barcelona have been closely monitoring the controversy surrounding Real Madrid's recent signing, Franco Mastantuono. The Argentine sensation was handed the number 30 shirt with a reserve team registration, even though it is clear he is destined solely for the first team. This could put Madrid in a delicate situation, as Article 126 of the RFEF regulations, specifically point 3, states that the affiliation or dependency relationship cannot serve as an instrument to circumvent the spirit of the regulatory provisions, nor for any purpose other than its own and specific nature. In other words, a first-team player cannot be officially registered with the reserves if he is not going to feature for them. Point 4 of the same article is even clearer. Any agreement that contravenes this spirit shall be considered fraudulent and therefore null and void. For this reason, Barça have decided to wait and see how the Mastantuono case unfolds rather than rushing ahead and registering Bardji with the reserve team. But there is confidence within the club that all the registration issues will be taken care of before the end of the month. Barcelona have faced a real uphill battle in returning to the financial 1:1 rule, and La Liga's strict financial audits and clauses have only further complicated matters and distanced them from the same. The construction of VIP seats in the new Spotify Camp Nou and the sale of their rights was long expected to be the level that helps Barcelona account for the financial deficit and return to the 1:1 rule. La Liga, however, refused to accept the projected wages first because the seats were not yet constructed and did not exist. Now that the section in the stadium is ready, they are refusing on other grounds. A fight with La Liga. As relayed by Sport, La Liga are refusing to accept the calculation of income from the VIP seats on the audit, claiming that Barcelona have not yet made that income. The club, meanwhile, argue that it is a projected income that will certainly be reached now that the seats are constructed and a party is in place to purchase the rights. Speaking in a press conference earlier today, the club's director of sections, Xavi O'Callaghan, reiterated the same and confirmed the situation to the media. Fair play depends on projected revenue. If you tell La Liga, this year I will generate this income, you haven't earned it yet, you're saying you will, he said. And the interpretation of VIP seat income, for example, is one thing for Barça and another for La Liga. That's where the discrepancy and dispute lie, he added, confirming the dispute. Stressing the importance of including the revenue on the record, he added, you have to play with the revenue, and if you consider it valid, including VIP seats, but La Liga does not, then you have a problem. That's why the board is also taking risks, because if our perception of revenue differs from La Liga's, you're already committed, he added. At this point, there is thus clear friction between the club and the league offices over how the projected revenue must be accounted for, and the result of the same will dictate whether or not the Catalans return to the 1:1 rule this summer. An altogether surprising update on the future of Barcelona star Robert Lewandowski has come to the fore online over the last 24 hours. This comes amid the revelation that the Pole could yet be handed a new contract in Catalonia's capital. It is of course common knowledge that Lewandowski's current Barcelona terms are due to come to a close in the summer of 2026. At this point, the veteran goalscorer will be almost 38 years of age. Owing to as much, the widespread assumption was that Lewandowski would be allowed to depart on a free transfer, before finishing out his legendary career with one final big money payday elsewhere. As alluded to above, though, if the latest word stemming from the media early this week is anything to go by, then such a path forward has not yet been set in stone. As per a report from Diario Sport, owing to his weight in the dressing room and his role as a goalscorer when he is at 100%, Barça say that the option of extending him for another year, until 2027, is not ruled out at all. A member of the defensive ranks at La Liga champions Barcelona no longer has any chance of staying put for the remainder of the campaign. That's according to Mundo Deportivo, who highlight Héctor Fort as the player in question. Youngster Fort has of course seen the subject of his future take its place front and center in the media headlines surrounding Barcelona over recent weeks. This comes after word was forthcoming that Hansi Flick had opened the door to the versatile fullback's exit. The understanding initially was that Fort's fate was not set in stone, with the possibility having remained that he could yet stay put to fight for his place. 1. As alluded to above, though, if the latest update on the situation to have surfaced on Monday is anything to go by, then as much no longer appears to be an option. 2. Hansi Flick made it clear again in Mallorca. After not playing him during the Asian tour, he also showed Fort at Sun Moix that both Eric Garcia and Jules Koundé are ahead of him, meaning he has no chance of staying. A forgotten member of the midfield ranks at La Liga champions Barcelona is expected to see his contract terminated by the club over the days ahead. That's according to Diario Sport, who point towards Oriol Romeu as the player in question. Midfielder Romeu finds himself in something of a precarious situation at present. Following a loan spell on the books of Girona in the 2024-25 season, the former Southampton man has since returned to base in Barcelona, with a year remaining on his contract. The problem for Romeu, though, is that despite playing a prominent role in pre-season training, he does not feature in the plans of the Blaugrana in any way, shape or form. The likes of Girona and Valencia have been credited with an interest in bringing the 33-year-old in for next season, though only in the case of Romeu becoming available as a free agent. And as alluded to above, if the latest word stemming from the media on Monday is anything to go by, then such a development could be forthcoming as soon as this week. The Blaugrana Sporting management hopes to finalize the termination of Oriol Romeu's contract this week, in which he will have to contribute some economic amount so that he can leave with the letter of freedom. Real Madrid head coach Xabi Alonso was on Monday asked for his take on the abilities of Barcelona sensation Lamine Yamal. This of course comes with the 18-year-old fresh off grabbing the headlines once more in the opening weekend of the La Liga campaign. After Barcelona made the trip to Sun Moix for a meeting with RCD Mallorca, Lamine dazzled to the tune of a goal and an assist. This is expected to be just the start of another stellar individual campaign on the part of a player who, despite his tender years, already boasts a legitimate claim to being the standout performer in world football. And as alluded to above, on Monday, the latest individual to weigh in on Lamine's talents was none other than Xabi Alonso. Speaking in his pre-match press conference ahead of Real Madrid's season opener against Osasuna on Tuesday, Alonso was asked, "Lamine Yamal, as a Barcelona player and your competitor, how do you view the phenomenon of Lamine Yamal?" And the new Blancos headmaster went on to respond as follows. "I don't know, I don't have a pressure gauge. I don't know the extent of the pressure, but in any case, Lamine has developed a lot in this short period he's been through, and he's already an important player for both Barcelona and the national team. And the time will come to face him and then we will see." So, Kules, it's clear that Barcelona are entering a decisive moment both on and off the pitch. The registration of key players like Szczesny, Martin, and Bardji could shape the strength of the squad for the rest of the season, while the financial battle with La Liga highlights just how much the club is still fighting behind the scenes. At the same time, the future of stars like Lewandowski and Romeu's situation could bring even more changes to the dressing room. But there's also plenty of excitement. From the rise of Pau Cubarsí in defense to Lamine Yamal's magic on the field, Barcelona continue to show that the next generation is ready to step up. The big question is, can Flick stabilize the squad, overcome these challenges and put Barça back at the very top of La Liga and Europe? One thing is for sure, the story at Camp Nou is far from over, and we'll be here to bring you every update along the way.